All right, let's dive into a really fascinating story coming out of India. It's this high-stakes clash between government security and digital privacy, playing out in one of the biggest markets in the world. It all centers on one app, a really controversial order, and the huge backlash that made a government completely change course. To really get your head around the scale of this, just look at this number, 1.2 billion. Yeah, that's how many mobile users there are in India. So you can imagine when the government makes a move that affects every single smartphone, the ripple effect is just absolutely massive. The whole story really boils down to these three things: a government with a plan, a mandatory app you couldn't get rid of, and, well, the predictable public explosion that came right after. Let's break down how this all went down. So first things first, what problem was the government actually trying to solve here? Well, their official goal was to fight the rise of cyber fraud and make phones more secure. And, on the face of it, that's a pretty legitimate concern for any country, right? And what was their solution? An app called Sunchar Sati. But here's the thing. This wasn't just another app you could choose to download from the App Store. Oh no, it came with a government order that was very specific. And, as we're about to see, incredibly controversial. The government's directive was pretty aggressive. They gave smartphone makers just 90 days to get on board. But the real bombshell, the part that got everyone talking, was this last point. Users could not disable or restrict the app. It was designed to be a permanent fixture on your phone, whether you wanted it there or not. Well, as you can probably guess, that idea did not go over well. The directive sparked an immediate and really powerful pushback from, well, pretty much all corners of the tech world and civil society. This slide really captures the heart of the conflict. On one side, you have the government saying, hey, we're just trying to verify phones and stop criminals. But on the other side, experts were sounding the alarm, calling it a potential tool for mass surveillance and a clear violation of privacy. An undeletable government app is a major, major red flag for a lot of people. And the resistance was serious. We're not just talking about digital rights groups. You had tech giants like Apple and Samsung pushing back, raising concerns that this order came out of nowhere, with zero industry consultation, and that it completely undermined user privacy. So, with the backlash growing louder and louder, the government had to respond. India's Minister of Communications came out and was very clear, stating publicly that snooping was simply not possible with this app. And then, in a really surprising twist, the whole thing just stopped. The controversy came to a very abrupt end when the government did a complete 180 and scrapped the mandatory order entirely. But you've got to hear the official reason they gave for this reversal. It's fascinating. They didn't mention the public outcry or the pressure from global tech companies. Instead, their line was that the order just wasn't necessary anymore because the app was already becoming so popular all on its own. And they had some numbers to try and back this up. At that point, 14 million people had apparently already downloaded the app voluntarily. And then there was this, a huge spike of 600,000 downloads in a single day, right after the mandatory order went public. The government basically pointed to this jump as proof that the public was already embracing the app without being forced to. So the mandatory order is gone, which is a big deal. But what does this resolution actually mean? Well, the reaction has been what you might call cautious optimism, but it also leaves some pretty important questions still hanging in the air. This quote from the Internet Freedom Foundation, I think, sums up the mood perfectly. The reversal is definitely a win for privacy advocates, but they're still waiting to see the official legal text. It's a really positive step, for sure, but it's not quite case closed. Ultimately, this whole episode in India forces us all to confront a really fundamental question that, let's be honest, every country is wrestling with right now. In our digital world, where exactly do you draw the line between national security and our personal privacy? This story is a powerful reminder that that debate is far, far from over.